Hello, what's up, guys? We're going to go over this worksheet here for homework. This is multiple representations of motion. What you're going to see is a position time graph, velocity time graph, written description, motion map. All four of those pieces on this assignment, and there's a bunch of them that give you one thing, and you're going to need to do all the others. So we're going to try to get. I'm not going to do all this. It's too long for me to do all, but I'm going to do make sure that we get one of everything. All right, so we're going to start with just number one, and I'm going to go from there. So let's start with kind of the written description here. So I'll open up a text box, and we'll make it just a little bit bigger, and we'll type in here what it is. So we've got three parts of the motion. We don't have any numbers, so I'm going to say the object is what I'll say and call it. Object starts at a position away from 0 and travels at a constant positive velocity All right, and then this next section, this middle section, it stops. Then stops for a moment, I'll say. I don't really know how long. And I'm going to say before turning around, or I'll just say it turns around. So I'll say travels before traveling in the negative direction at a faster velocity. All right, faster than it headed there. So it went forward or it went in the positive direction, and then it stopped, and then it goes back toward in the negative direction quickly or quicker. All right, and so that's what the written description would be like. All right, I'm going to make the velocity time graph because that's going to help. That's actually going to help me with the motion map. So let's take a look at this. Move myself out of the way. Here we go, over there. So velocity time graph. I have a positive slope here, so I'm going to have a positive velocity here, and it's not sloped at all. This one's not sloped at all. It's a positive velocity. Let me just fix that there. Comes across like that. Then we have a zero slope, zero, and then we have a negative that's more negative than this one was positive. So I'm going to go further down here and put that line in there. So I've got positive, 0, and then I've got more negative. Now I got a trick for you. The trick to create this motion map. The trick to create the motion map is we got a lot of information here, but the trick to create the motion map, I've shown this before, but my arrows are going to look something like this. All right. And then this one's going to be here. All right, something like that. All right. And I don't know how long it is or anything, so I'm going to do my best on the motion map. Let's go over to the motion map now. And my motion map, it starts away from 0. So I start somewhere here. And it goes forward kind of slow for at least 3 extra dots. Then it stops for 3 dots. So this first section looks like this, and my arrows are in the positive direction. And that matches with this section here. And then I have no arrows, all right, stacked up there. And then it goes back a little bit quicker. So I'm going to go back like this here. And I know it doesn't make it all the way back, but we're just going to put it there anyway to get the general idea. Halfway between as best I can. And the arrows are in the negative direction. They're a little longer. So I got positive arrows, that's here. I got stopped, no arrows, that's there. And I've got going back in the negative direction, that's there. All right, so that is All right, continuing on with number 2. I'm not going to do the whole thing for number 2. We did the written description. We did the motion map. You can do that. I just want to show this piece of going from the velocity time graph back to the position time graph. All right, so velocity time graph. Here we've got a negative velocity, and we kind of need to take the whole thing into account. We got negative velocity, kind of fast, all right, really low negative velocity, or really, excuse me, larger negative velocity, a more negative velocity. And then we have a kind of a smaller positive velocity. So we're going toward 0 or in the negative direction, and then we're going back away from 0 in the positive direction, and then we're stopped. All right, we don't know, the interesting thing about this is that we don't have a clue where it starts. So I could start up here, I could start down here. It travels negatively, so I'm just going to start right up here, and it seems to be a relatively steep slope. I'm going to go do something like that. So negative slope here, negative slope, kind of steep. All right, here it goes back positive, but it doesn't go back as steep. So I'm going to go positively, but I'm not going to go as steep. I'll try to go maybe something like that. Yeah, that's a little less steep than this is steep negative. So go back positive. And then we have this 0 velocity part, and that looks like maintaining our position at the same spot. So to help you out with going back and forth. So we have a negative slope, negative slope. We have a positive slope, and these two are not exactly the same. All right, this is steep positive, or steep negative, excuse me, and then a not so steep positive. And then 0, of course, 0 velocity means it maintains its position. All right, finally, we're going to look at number 6 here, where it has the motion map, and that's all they give you, and they want you to make both of these graphs. So we're going to work with that just a little bit and what the best method to do that is. Just as we showed up above where you can go from the velocity time graph to the motion map, we can also do it the other way around, okay? And we're gonna, that's what we're going to do. So for the first 1-2 seconds, it travels in the negative direction. All right, so I'm going to have a negative velocity, and it's going to be, negative velocity for the first 2 seconds. So I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to do this, all right? Notice I've got negative arrows, so that's them arrows pointing down. And then I've got it stopping for a little while, so that's going to be 0. So I'm going to say that's in between here. And then it goes back positive direction at a lower pace, so closer to 0. All right, so notice that this is far away from 0. This is a lot closer to 0. Okay, so we got traveling in the negative direction, longer arrows, traveling in the positive direction, smaller arrows, all right, closer to 0. And then I can work backwards just like I did before. I got a negative slope, all right, and actually it shows me where it started. It started kind of far away from 0. And I've got a negative slope, and then I've got 0, all right, and then I've got a slight positive slope. Okay, trying to make those straight lines as straight as possible, but hopefully that gives you the idea of how we can kind of work backwards from the motion map to the other 2 graphs.